Slava Isusu Christu.
Slava Navi.
Today's reading is entitled by at least one commentator that I read as Successful Young People and the New Community. That seems very apt in this day and age. Most young people might be considered successful. Whether that will remain so post-virus remains to be seen. However, in the case of this young man, keeping the commandments for such a self-assertive person is old hat. No sweat. He's done that since he was a child. And so he asks, what good thing must I do to have eternal life? He seems to think that there is just one path and that this renowned teacher can set him upon it. Jesus focuses his attention on goodness. What is goodness? There is one who is good. The individualism of this young man is redirected to the law, or the Torah as it was known, and a more outgoing view focused on neighbour. The conversation for both the young man and Jesus moves beyond the way of the Torah. Perfection is sell all one has and give the proceeds to the poor. After doing that, the invitation continues to follow Jesus. Hence, for Matthew, true discipleship is the following of Jesus. From this point forward, there can be no perfection that does not include following Jesus with no security other than radical trust in God. What this young man must do is surrender himself totally to the one who alone is good. For him, the cost is too high. In his heart, he does want to take up Jesus' invitation, but in fact, he is possessed by his many possessions. That huge dilemma leads Jesus to reflect on the blockage wealth creates to entrance into the kingdom of heaven. The saying about the camel and the needle, understood as a comic exaggeration, of course, is meant to shock hearers out of complacency. Salvation is a divine, not a human achievement. By placing their security in something less than God, such as human wealth, humans block their access to divine power and goodness. The greater wisdom is to give one's wealth to the poor. Matthew sees Jesus' invitation as applying to all of us in some respects, and yet not in others. It applies to us all in that salvation is entirely a gift of God that comes to us in the person of Jesus. Reliance on wealth for security gets in the way of radical trust in God, which is incumbent on all who enter the kingdom. But there will always be those who hear Jesus' call to the rich young man as addressed to themselves more literally. I'm thinking here of persons such as St. Anthony of Egypt and St. Francis of Assisi. But clearly, that call is not for all of us. What we are called to do is to give priority to trust in God above everything else. And then all that God has to give will be given to us in turn. Slava Isusu Christu.
Слава навіки.